Good evening, Free Enterprise fans. Welcome again to another Monday Night Community Race. I am Y2 Sky, and I have the distinct privilege of being joined in the booth for the return of the Lore Master, Ella Motos. Welcome back to the Free Enterprise booth.
I appreciate that, Sky. With us tonight also is David as our tracker and S Grunt on our restream. We've got about a 20-player race shaping up tonight for this Edge versus the Blue Planet community race.
And I gotta tell you, I am super psyched to watch this, to watch a race with this flag set. This has been one of the very enjoyable club flag sets this off season. Edge versus the Blue Planet. It's definitely a fun one.
Yeah, so that means tonight we're going to have to guaranteed see the Earth Crystal, the Baron Key, the Pan, the Luca Key, and the Rat Tail, because our players have to complete all 5 objectives, and there's no choice. They will win the game when they finish the objectives. There's no Zeromus fight in this flag set.
So you'll notice that if you've read the flag sets, you're guaranteed to start with an edge. So, and in addition to that, the C Neki flag is also not set for this for these flags. So what that means is our runners will each start with an edge with his vanilla starting gear, which already puts him swinging for about 400 to 450 per round. So a quick clear of the overworld to be expected here to start with.
That's right. We're not going to see any foos tonight as well, and Cecil is going to be harder to come by. No free characters either, with, of course, our favorite ninja Edge to start with.
Yeah, and a lot of folks may remember restricted Cecil from the Adamant Cup flag sets, particularly the group. Actually, yeah, he was completely banned for the brackets. So yeah, Adamant Cup group. But with this flag set, one of the things you'll see very quickly is it leads itself towards a much shorter game. So yeah, you have access to that restricted Cecil. Yes, T Wildish is on, so you can get Holy Swords, but the payoff for actually finding that, unless you do it super early, is not that much. So you have to be a little bit more judicious when you're hunting for your characters. Also, the party size is capped at 3, so yeah, limited game, limited difficulty of checks, but you do have some restrictions you have to keep in mind when you're starting to go through the sea.
That's right, and before we start, we should mention our featured players tonight. We've got Soapbox Gamer on the top left, Goku Black top right, John Burkhead on the bottom left, and CS Radical on the bottom right.
And we appear to be off. The second character here to see is a very important look. Tella, that's actually pretty strong, with a Moon Sparkle and a Sand Ruby. So we may already have we could already be set for a party right away.
Yeah, depending on who's hiding in that bed in Kaipo, could be a good pickup to be the third character. We'll see who goes there first and if our 4 players pick them up.
Yeah, Tella is going to throw an interesting wrench into early game routing also, because with the limited checks, you don't have a lot of opportunities to gain ground on your opponents, nowhere near as much as you do when summon or moon checks are in play. So there's a lot of opportunity cost to going to Ordeals and powering up that Tella, because Ordeals is a popular spot to fade in this flag set. So let's see what happens.
Yeah, I feel hopeful that at least one player will go there, because having Tella fully charged up is going to be extremely useful pretty much for this whole match. Usually in main flags, he's really only useful in the early to mid game, but he's going to be useful this whole run long if you can get his spells on him.
And Bedward only coughs up the Adamant, which isn't really a high value key item on this flag set.
Yeah, you can bring the Legend and the Adamant to Kokol to get you a nice high-tier item in this flag set, but nothing that's going to really be a game changer for you. Obviously, if you're down there and you have those 2 key items, why not? But you won't be specifically hunting for them.
The public treasury comes up pretty big. Earth Hammer if you manage to find a Sid, but the biggies are that Crystal Armor and that Thunder Claw. Crystal Armor sells for a lot of money, can pretty much finance your edge to be set for this entire run.
Ah, John has showed us a Palom in the bed.
It's also a fantastic pickup because we start with the Freedom Kit, which means we get at least one free Siren. So as soon as you grab that underground access, you can take that Palom down, and as long as you find a coffin or a way to kill that egg without dying first, you can be pretty close to or right at Quake, depending on the experience points you have.
Oh, John was looking for a boss there in the waterway, but only found a king sprite.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. Maybe John's going for some intel to make sure that because where the seal cave is pretty much your one of your toughest spots with the agility there. You could be trying to just remove some bosses from the potential pool there.
John also shows us an Earth Wrench there in Damcine Castle basement. That's going to be a nice pickup for Sid, one of his better weapons.
Yeah, Sid in this flag set is actually pretty good considering, again, you don't have to take the party to Zeromus, and Sid's strongest in the early game. He's a very good support character for an Edge and a Tele. Or even an Edge and a Palom if you go that route.
Yeah, and we can see now Soap and Radical are both also going to check the Palom and gather another Black Mage here.
Goku Black shows us a Porum on Mount Hobbs and decides to reset out of it. So, for going the healer here early.
Yeah, and I don't... Depending on where you find the bosses, because the hardest location, you're correct, is going to be the Luca Cave in this flag set. So depending on what's down there, you might not even need a healer. That's probably what Goku's thinking right now.
Yep, and I tend to agree with him here. Until you really run into a bad check like Ogopogo in a difficult spot, healing is not really an issue, especially if you manage to find and shop for Cure 2s or Cure 3s.
And we have found Cure 2s in Troya already, which 3 of our 4 players have picked up a fat stack of those.
Also hit the early game Vow here, and I think is Fabul.
Yeah, that's pretty unfortunate. You don't have a way to stop her spinning, so the damage is going to be fairly slow here. Meanwhile, we find Mylon and gang in the Antlion Cave.
Yep, that's a pretty easy clear for Edge with the starting flame. Goku Black resetting out of the Fabul. Good call there, since Val cannot block your way underground, so we know the Magma Key is not there. And is that a Ninja Sword I just saw picked up in Antlion Cave?
I believe, no, it's a Ninja Star, maybe?
Oh, that's not quite as exciting.
With a bit of, oh my body, John has defeated Mylon. We shall see what the Antlion Cave pops up. And it looks like it's going to be a crystal. Okay.
Yep, with O-Win game, the crystal for Zeromus is back in the pool. So even though you cannot actually go fight Zeromus, you can still get the crystal, which is a zonk, unfortunately. But it does contribute to your key item total, so not a total waste.
Not a total waste, because it adds to your total key item count.
One pun in already, and we're not even 7 minutes in yet. This is going to be great.
Looks like our players are now retreading all these early checks. So John about to find that Valvalis. We'll see if he decides to reset out or try to muscle through it.
Yeah, I love seeing pretty much 4 separate approaches to the early game here. I largely kind of like what Goku Black has done so far. Just kind of check the hobs, check the early characters, um, go through Antlion Cave, just get that underground access as quickly as possible.
Yeah, and I do agree with the decision of all 4 of the players to not bother peeking the Baron in yet. It's good to get all these earlier checks out of the way, figure out what your power is going to be like, what items you found, what characters you found, before you even attempt that Baron in check, because the second boss can be quite a whammy if you don't have anything good at hand.
Absolutely, and we've seen John and now Soapbox Gamer make good use of that Ninja Star from Antlion and takes out the Vow.
Not so much of the whammy that we thought it was. Yeah, sweet 2000 damage. We do get the pink tail here from Fabul.
Yeah, that's one thing I neglected when I kind of went over some of the nuances of the flag set as we started. Darts, the value of darts has skyrocketed for this flag set because you just accumulate those, and you don't even really have to find good permanent gear for edge. If you can find drain spheres in a shop, or loot some drain spheres, or ninja stars, you can one-shot a lot of bosses and get through some other checks you may otherwise not have business doing.
Yeah, and we are going to have to find the hook to turn in that pink tail. And unfortunately, the Earth Crystal is the guaranteed underground access, so the hook may be buried quite far down depending on where the other key items are. Now
Yeah,
we do have to trade in the rat tail as part of our objective, so the hook is somewhat a soft objective. You are going to need it still.
yep, absolutely. Yeah, I know when I run this flag set, I definitely do go the Damsian route, get that hovercraft raised up, get it ready, so when I do find that hook, we're off to the races. And I see our first Baron in check from Goku Black. Vigan having some lunch with Rosa. We'll see how that turns out.
Yeah, our players didn't want a white mage when it was Porum, but they may change their minds when it's Rosa.
Yeah, it's a pretty interesting call here because you really like Tella and his pre-prepared access to blink and exit. But Rosa can definitely be your best healer going into that seal cave spot. So it's runners can really go either way with this. It's gonna be interesting to see what Goku does with it.
Goku is showing us Kanazo here in that second in spot. Meanwhile, John has elected to go up ordeals seeking these telespells. Soapbox Gamer not far behind. First boss on the bridge is Bahamut.
Yeah, the king of the summon monsters is pretty. I guess the true king of the summon monsters, depending on how you look at the lore, Mr. Lore Master. Correct me if I'm wrong, but he's pretty much a pushover at that first ordeal spot.
Well, far be it from me to tell the Eidolons how they feel about their leadership, but Leviathan is their king and Bahamut is their emperor. Who knows what that difference between those two are? I didn't notice an empire of summoned monsters, but that's just me.
We could be talking about a completely different IP if we're going down that route. But the back attack is a Dark Elf, that's one of the better bosses you want to see at that spot.
Yeah, very very nice, especially because you have Tella, you have the ability to use the non-boss flag spells on the Dark Elf once it's in its second form, which it will get to fairly quickly. And this is a fairly high HP spot for where you're at power-wise, so it's nice to get an enemy that you don't really have to feel threatened by, and is already dead.
Yep, well done by John there. And we have our first scoop of vanilla. Goku Black finds the Baron Key with Rosa. So now again we're pondering the white mage. Let's see what Goku does.
This is a lot of thinking.
Yeah, but decides to pitch the tell ultimately. So you're playing more for the end game there than the short game, which is fine. Just hope we don't run into an issue where he starts missing that exit, because that can happen a couple times when you lose some precious seconds there.
Oof, meanwhile, John finds the darkness crystal there on Mount Ordeals, so Goku can go get one of the actual objectives, whereas John is going to have access to the moon, which doesn't really help us in this flag set.
No, it doesn't. For all intents and purposes, again, darkness crystal, one of those virtual zonks. Because unless you're just really hurting for the right character, again, you don't want to use those precious seconds going to raising the big whale and going to the moon.
Yeah, just due to the cutscene, it would be good for an item shop check, but it's very hard to justify you finding something that'd be worth raising the whale to get it.
Interesting note, we've seen Antlion, Baron Inn, Ordeals, we've seen all of our starting overworld checks, still looking for that magma key, but could very easily be down this objective Baron Castle that we see Goku heading towards.
Yeah, it'd be nice if it were here, since we have to do Baron Castle anyways.
Yeah, if it's not, I think our only other option might be we get the Twin Harp or the Earth Crystal. Now, we wouldn't mind the Earth Crystal because it's a second objective, but that, could also be behind the Twin Harp spot, which we're pretty well equipped to deal with, but again, it's more time.
But it is a fan favorite.
Oh, nice pickup by CS Radical at the base of Ordeals with that Zeus Gauntlet.
Yeah, it's very hard on these flags where we have wild treasure chests to pass up any of these like low-hanging fruit chests up on any of the overworld dungeons, because you never know, they could have just what you need.
Yep, speaking of what you need, I see an Ice Claw on John Burkhead's side in that pot in the Baron Inn. If you run into a Rubicante in a high HP spot, that Ice Claw will spare you, again, many more precious seconds. You may notice I'm calling out a lot of item pickups, but in this particular flag set, again, you are looking for every little edge that you can get on your opponents, and so it's happened in asyncs before where somebody finding an Ice Claw or a Thunder Claw and the boss being in the opportune spot that has made the difference.
Oh no, and Soapbox Gamer has entered Mysidia, but has the Darkness Crystal in the inventory, so it's gonna have to sit through this cutscene to raise the blue whale.
Starting to wonder, was this intentional? Is Soapbox gonna, really? Soapbox could be pushing for, the Cecil, the lunar dice being one of those restricted spots.
I mean, a Cecil with a good weapon would speed this run up, but it's so much time to get up there. It just depends on how many of the bosses you think are actually going to be an impediment to your edge.
Yeah, and I think you were right though. It looks like an item shop check. Exits in there, which we didn't have Tella, would be really great, but we have Tella, so. Again, John again with another huge pickup finds full moons in the Baron shop and strength rings.
Oh yeah, you gotta love those full moons for sure. Getting your edge in the back row, very, very useful.
And we missed this early on again. Kind of glossing over the flag sets because there's a lot of nuances, but One of the flags that runners tend to miss when they first run this set, the back row glitch is not on. The back row glitch is patched out. So you definitely want to hold on to that full moon when you pick it up.
Yeah, and we can see that's why John bought 2, so that he can actually equip them and get the full damage output.
Yep, and I definitely don't blame a runner for doing that in this set at all. If you don't find ninja swords or you don't want to spend the money on them, full moon / long, that tier of weapons for edge is good enough to get through this flag set.
Meanwhile, Goku is the first one through Baron Castle here. Water Hag was the boss on the throne. So now we'll see this character being Cecil, but Goku has not gone up ordeals, so still Dark Knight Cecil.
To make things interesting, if Goku decides to go to ordeals, he'll end up with that darkness crystal, and then you have to go back to Mysidia to get him. Ugh.
Yeah, and I doubt, unless he really gets desperate, which he probably won't, since we know Ordeals doesn't have a progression item for Goku. Since he doesn't have Tell anymore, it's kind of Ordeals is kind of dead to him.
Right, and I don't even think you bother with that unless you happen to hit a Holy Sword almost immediately going underground here, which actually I don't think you can do because we're at max tier 7. So, yeah, unless you... and Smithald is also on, so you really can't forge for one. So you have to actively seek a Holy Sword and trap chest. So we may just see Goku forgo this character.
And it was very nice that Baron leads to that. That allows Goku to skip ordeals completely, which saves quite a bit of time over the other players who went up there.
And that first trip underground also presents some critical decision points as well. What checks are open to you? What do you want to go try to do? Generally, you want to go for freebies first. Although Goku's already done for Bull, so that that pre-Pan Sheila 1 run is less enticing. You're only getting 1 key out of there instead of 2.
Yeah, and conversely, with his party the way it is, Dwarf Castle is a little less enticing, I think, because you're not really looking for another character at this point. But it looks like he's going to try it.
Be shopping for coffins here because as soon as you get underground, you really want a way to use that Siren ASAP, especially with a Palom to get Quake.
We can see some selling being done here. I believe that's going to be for some Bacchus.
Yep, we're going to be funding some wine. That's also a very strong pickup because again, Rosa needs those levels to get Berserk. A Berserk Edge will speed up a lot of fights since we're still kind of looking for power for this party.
Yeah, we can see Goku's not really super confident in his party power yet. Going into the basement to check the chest down there, going to all the shops here in Dwarf Castle, is really looking for just a little bit more offensive ability.
I believe I saw a ninja sword probably purchased. I missed that. I missed the shop list, but I did see a ninja sword being equipped.
Yeah, he picked it up right there. Still looking for more. Going into the tower here in Dwarf Castle. Samurai arrows, pretty good.
Yeah, not too bad. Honestly, though, I like where Goku is at party-wise. Right now, if I'm in his shoes, I am beelining for every other item shop, trying to find a coffin and just to get those spells on that Palom, because now you have your edge ready to go. You have your supporting Palom. Get your Rosa leveled up so you can do heals. You've got the complete picture here. The only thing really stopping you at that point is a Wyvern in the wrong spot.
Yeah, Tamra is starting to look like a very enticing check just to get some sort of item to, because even just the one egg, as you said, you're very close to Quake. Then at that point, your Rosa gets those almighty levels on her. And fairly soon here, all the players are going to have access to the underground, so we'll see if they take any different tactics and maybe loot Dwarf Castle a little bit less than Goku did.
Yeah. See John throwing the key down the well, CS Radical and Soapbox both making use of the Baron keys, so yeah, the Goku's going to have the competition hot on his heels here shortly.
Oof, nothing here in, we have some Hermes, but nothing that will help kill these eggs.
Yeah, again, this is where you really miss that Tella, because even a stop cast is going to get you there. Nice pickup in the Job Dwarf room, a Sork Robe, and he's just a messenger. Don't shoot the Job Dwarf, everybody. Alright, we've got John ready to crack that egg. He still has his Tella, so we should be seeing a stop here.
And this may end up being kind of a decision, like a switch point here, because Goku doesn't have access to Tella. The Rosa is going to be helpful later for sure, but getting these levels here might allow John to speed through a lot of the underground checks faster than Goku will be able to.
Yeah, I could definitely see Dwarf Castle or even Keyless Tower. At this point, though, I definitely like the freebie checks just to see, hey, can we get something that's get something open that's a little bit more enticing than Dwarf or that Keyless Tower, because they're, you know, you're kind of looking for what checks the seed is given here at this point.
Ooh, there's a Twin Harp in the underground, so that's another potential check. It is a longer dungeon, though.
Yeah, definitely your double-edged sword here, but yeah. So it's sorry. I'll stop with the edge puns. I promise to find another fun subject. Anyway, again, Twin Harp, everybody's favorite check to fade. Again, you're guaranteed a key item, but it's still one of the longer ones, and you can gain a lot of time if it happens to be a Zonk and it's not required. So let's see what happens. Goku seems to be going to prime Sheila 1 at this point.
Meanwhile, Soapbox Gamer is fighting the Water Hag, so will soon be heading underground himself. Goku checking the Self Cave. Radical is, getting through it here with this Pale Dim.
Yeah, good work by all 4 of our runners so far. I have to say, this is shaping up to be one of those seeds that, as a runner, I start getting nervous about and I don't particularly like, just because, okay, there's not a real obvious path here. Like, I would love to have seen a pan or a tower key to kind of steer me in the right direction in the underground, but instead, okay, I guess we just do our freebies, and we're weighing our freebies versus Twin Harp at this point. I don't know. A good race for chat, not so much for the runner.
We see there's a CPU behind the throne here in Dwarf Castle.
How many things do we have to throw? Because that's what you need to do here. And John hits the attacker instead of the defender. Not sure if that was intended, but we're gonna go for the quick kill here.
Oh, and Goku has shown us that Sheila 1 is that Earth Crystal, so I can only expect that Goku is going to go see that go up to the Zot right now.
Excellent pickup for Goku. Made the right call there. Has made some pretty solid calls multiple times here, fading ordeals, and now now has another objective path, and if that chains into other checks or another objective, then you're sitting pretty with your route, having faded both Twin Hearth and Ordeals.
Oh, meanwhile, we see John has Berserked Edge and is just going to eat the Globe 99s and hope that it doesn't kill the party.
Globe 1 and Max Party 3 is painful. The orb is down though, so we've got a shot at this. Alan just needs to get off one more Quake and we're set. Meanwhile, we do have Goku Black hitting that treasury, so we get to play everyone's favorite.
Raise that treasury!
Lots of power shirts, and now Goku has to fight the inventory boss to pick up the goods here.
Yeah, we're looking pretty good. I would love to see one of the required items here in Dwarf Castle, just to give the other player who did not go the exact route Goku did a fighting chance.
Bard is the character, but we've got some guard fight. Depending on which one it is, it may be a little dicey. Oh, nope, free-ish.
Oh yeah, if Edge manages to live, that's one ninja spell and they're all gone.
So far, we've seen all of our runners pitch the Cecil. So yeah, with no weaponry for him, yeah, he's just not a fit in this party.
Yeah, and I think at this point to circle back around once he's a paladin, and it's just not gonna work. Plus, we haven't seen any good weapons for him yet, and it's about the time of the match where these players need to really stop looking for items and start just charging at the objectives.
Yeah, runners are getting fairly close to being set for that. Goku finding that power shirt in the treasury is pretty much going to cement his edge as the top damage dealer for the rest of the seed. John, not far behind though, has also picked up the full moons.
I'm interested to see what bosses we have here in Zot, because there's some dicey ones still remaining. We haven't seen any of the super deadly bosses yet.
Yeah, that could make me a little nervous, especially heading into that second spot. Edge's pretty fast and can overcome most shenanigans in the first spot, but that second spot can get a little dicey, especially if you don't switch your anchor out and make sure your edge is already won. It's a Rubicante. Edge is already swinging away, so I don't think Goku has that Ice Claw from Baron.
Yeah, I don't think so either, but should still be able to take him down though. Palom is pretty high up, already has Virus. Rosa will be able to keep the party up, I believe.
We just got off a 3K Ice 2 shot as well, so very well done by Goku, and he should be through this very, very shortly.
Oh, meanwhile, Soapbox Gamer had to take a reset there on an egg that managed to hatch. Luckily, had saved right before the battle, so didn't lose too much time there.
Okay, good. And we're looking for. Yep, I thought he was looking for stop, but oh, weak. That works as well.
Yeah, you can also stone these things, but the failure rate of it is fairly high.
Yeah, I think with just a stopper a week, you're more than set and can handle that. We see John going down to also do that Sheila 1 check, so again, going to be hot on Goku Black's heels with that Earth Crystal very shortly.
Yeah, and we are still looking. We don't know where most of the key items are still, although we got to be finding them soon because we're running out of checks for these players to make.
Yeah, still looking for 3 items: Hook, Rat Tail, Pan, 4, excuse me, Pan and Lucas. So yeah, whew, we got a ways to go still. Gives us really good odds of this Earth chaining into something now.
Yeah, and we do have the Twin Harp as well, and it's looking likely that our players are going to have to do both things. We see another Rosa and a Rydia here in Zot. I'm guessing not going to be taking Rydia at this point.
No, we know she's in our back pocket in Mysidia for if worse comes to worse, and we just can't get through a Wyvern and Sealed Cave without an anchor.
Well, I hadn't noticed this when Goku was going through the land of summoned monsters, but Radical did pick up an Artemis bow here.
It's a pretty big pickup for that Rosa, especially when you need people to just contribute damage to get through these checks quickly. Even you don't really need Rosa in healer mode until maybe either the top of the tower or the Sealed Cave. So if she can contribute damage, that's a good setup.
And this is starting to get more hectic of a match as the players all get their way towards Zot and the treasury and these extra checks, because it's looking like we're going to have to do pretty much everything that's available in order to complete the seed.
Yeah, you get a surprising amount of 16 or 17 out of 17s when you're running this flag set. Twin Harp check going to be a little bit less painful now for Goku since we've done Zot and now Rosa has Exit.
Yeah, that is nice. A bonus could be one of the reasons. I mean, it is the objective as well, so but it's a good play to have done that first before the Twin Harp for sure, for that reason.
Goku's stream maybe dropped some frames, and I could not see what that key item was.
We'll see if we get an inventory check at some point, but it's heading back to Troya, so it looks like we'll be checking the Twin Harp as well. Ah, our restreamer Escron says it's the tower key.
Okay, so opens up another check, but does not chain him to an objective. So I do like the play going into the Twin Harp here. You're making a calculated decision. You know you're up against at least 20 other runners. I like this play here.
Yeah, the tower would be a double check now, but it takes pretty much the same amount of time as the Earth Harp, or sorry, the Twin Harp, but yet the Twin Harp is right here, so.
I didn't catch as we were looking at for the Zot key item. John Burkhead was going through the end of the treasury. I saw the first part of the treasury, but there's also a white shirt at the end of the treasury. So yeah, Artemis bow, white shirt. Our Rosa's stacked.
Yeah, she's starting to look like a really good pickup. Well worth dropping one of the other characters for her at this point.
Definitely, and with her stat progression, you can have her play kind of a hybrid role pretty easily there with both a white shirt and an Artemis bow. The white shirt's going to negate a lot of the will loss from the Artemis bow.
Looks like we got Goku's stream pretty well back. We're going to see who the boss is here in the Magnus, Cave Magnus. Of course, we have to have the failure battle first.
John fighting the Rubicante got the Ice Claw onto his edge before berserking, but unfortunately has left him in the back row. I managed to get through that penalty and hit for 6K, but the penalty coming into play there.
Gotta love elemental damage in this game. Unfortunately, because Goku's stream is not great right now, we're gonna miss out. We also don't know what the boss is yet.
John's already turning in that Earth Crystal, getting set up for that second fight.
Yeah, I mean, these other players are moving fairly quickly through here, have checked Dwarf Castle. John is already through Zot, as you said, so catching up very nicely to Goku here. And if the Twin Harp ends up being a little bit of a letdown, and John selects a different path, this could be a good opportunity.
Yep. And it looks like I missed this earlier, but maybe our rat tail was at Dwarf, because our tracker is on top of that, and that rat tail is lit up for John and Soapbox.
Yeah, right you are. We did miss that, and still need that hook, kind of the hidden objective here, to turn both of those tails in.
Yeah, you're going to be playing the lottery a little bit with the pink tail because the no adamants flag is set, so the fun little turn into the pink tail for the adamant armor that we saw in our big tournament earlier this spring is not here, so you're playing the tier 7, tier 8 lottery here.
Yeah, Balnab actually got to transform here on Sean's screen. We didn't see that transformation on Goku because he was destroyed too quickly.
CS Radical picking up the rat tail as well.
So pretty much everybody is on even footing here. Soapbox Gamer is looking like doing the lower tower now. But does not have the tower key yet. Yeah, so this is a little bit of a deviation. We'll see what's here, if it's worth it.
Yeah, I'm trying to think where that plays out over the Sheila 1 Earth at this point. Maybe if it's the pan, definitely. Another dancing ruby, so that's going to be an elements fight for Soapbox Game, which might be okay because we've got a Palom, we've got elemental, but no, we at least have Thunderclaws, I think, for edge. So
yeah, damage is definitely the problem on this battle. It's a fairly high HP spot. They're not going to be super threatening to edge, but it can be a long battle if you don't have the output to get through the phase switch.
In this situation with that Soapbox has, you try to just push through. Don't worry about like killing it at the Rubicante phase. Just get through that as quick as possible. Queue up a lit free on Tella, and then you should be in good shape.
Oh yeah, we can see the spell power here is not really a threat. So Soapbox will get through that already on Kanazo phase.
Yeah, you're seeing where Palom absolutely shines in this flag set, and despite not employing any of the elemental weaknesses, the sheer power of Quake is just chewing through that HP pool.
Wow, it's pretty amazing here how similar these players are. Radical has now gone to check the Twin Harp. John is right behind Soapbox Gamer in the lower tower. Except John has the tower key, so this is going to be a double check for John.
Yep, and I think I like this play here. We're gonna get a pretty good comparison of the two plays because we have CS Radical about to be on the music. So I think since we're actually gonna get to watch this one, we need to kind of give a little pause and let DJ Spoony B do his thing.
And we find one of the better battles to find here, Freebie, King and Queen Evelyn, with some music from Earthbound to serenade them to sleep, we'll say.
CS appears to be through. Unfortunately, despite the freeness of the King Queen Evelyn boss, the magic defense is still present, so it could not quake them. Meanwhile, John Burkhead and Soapbox Gamer have picked up the spoon on the top of the tower. That's big, and oh my goodness, there's our hook.
Yeah, this is a race now. We are going to go straight to see that, and who knows, there could be another key item behind that rat tail. Oh, and we've got Goku back as well, who looks to have just finished both parts of the lower tower. All of a sudden, everything is happening.
Yeah, and I see the pan lit up, so maybe that is well, John's going to give us a look at it. That might have been the super cannon item.
Oh yeah, here comes Yang check 2, which will enable Sheila check 2.
Yep, and our pan was behind the super cannon, and John making a beeline for Sheila too.
Yeah, so at this point, we're really looking for that Luca key. We need it, and that's what every player is going to be going for here pretty shortly.
Yep, one thing we cannot forget is that Goku is still the only one that has faded dwarf at this point. Oh my, oof. Look at that rat tail turn in.
Oh, that was the pink tail turn in, that crystal sword. And I wonder, I don't know if that's going to make anybody go back to Cecil now, because we're almost at the end. I don't know if they have time to get enough levels on him to make him good.
Yeah, I think we're too late in the game at this point. And Goku Black has found the Luca key, so now we're in no mode. So Sheila 2 with the Luca key. So Sheila with 2 objectives this seed.
Yeah, this is going to be a mad dash now because every player is on their way to have access to everything that they needed. It's only whether they went there or not. So as you said, Goku's going to have to go to Dwarf Castle, unless he did it when we couldn't see his stream. But otherwise, everyone is going to be trying to finish the Luca cave here as fast as possible, or the sealed cave, I should say.
Goku headed the sealed cave. So here's an interesting little bit with routing. If Goku has not done that Dwarf Castle, which I don't think he has, because it looked like David got us caught up pretty well. So that means Goku is going to have to walk all the way out of the sealed cave, while the rest of our runners should be able. CS doesn't have the Earth Crystal yet, but the rest of our runners should be able to complete the sealed cave without walking it out. So, and if that's your last objective, you get all objectives complete when you kill the boss. You do not have to walk out of the cave.
So, chat, tell us which boss you'd like to see down here in the sealed cave.
Yep. Our restreamer S Grunt saying Magus Sisters. That's a rude one. The magic power at that spot is super high. Let's see what else we come up with.
A very Dark Imps would be an anti-finale for sure. Rowdy, we have not seen the gauntlet, which is the alt gauntlet in this one, by the way. It would be nice to maybe cap it off with that.
The alt gauntlet at Seal Cave is particularly nasty, not because it's just a super powerful boss that can wipe out your party, but although it can if you're not prepared for it, but it's just the little nuances. The groups of bats have just enough hit points to just get around that edge flame, and so it just takes a long time to kill, and it can be a royal pain.
A royal pain? Get it? Because Edge is the prince.
I made a pun and I didn't even know it. Thank you for that one. Gosh, what are we up to now? We're on an abbreviated flag set, and I think we've hit 5 puns already.
Oh, Sealed Cave only has the package, which, of course, you know, we already know where all the required items are, but I do still wonder who that character is. So, some things you wonder when you play this game and you know you have to fade something, but you always still kind of wonder what was there, like the package character or the harp song if you didn't get to see it.
Soapbox aside, we're seeing a forge here, which isn't a bad play because you can find things like Zeus gauntlets or ribbons. Again, that Smith alt only throwing a Bahamut summon for the Rydia that none of our runners took.
Sorry, Rydia fans. Although, if any of our runners had taken Rydia, we did see like all of the useful summons for her this round. We saw Sylph, we saw Ashura, we saw Bahamut. Like, it wouldn't have been, you know, awful if there was a, you know, a diehard fan who wanted her in the party. She still would have been able to hold her own.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you know, Edge Palom Rydia would not have been a bad setup here to just DPS your way through the sea. Ended up with the Octomam though, so yeah, gonna be a little bit speedy, but not going to be insurmountable for our runners here.
It's kind of an interesting interaction between Octomam's settings and this boss spot, because as noted, this is a fairly quick boss spot just because of the way Demon Wall usually works, and Octomam by default is very speedy until you get rid of the tentacles. So if this had been in some other flag set with a little less party power, that could have been actually a little difficult to get around.
Yeah, so with our path pretty much set out, knowing we don't have a super rude boss there at that sealed cave spot, it's really going to come down to the routing and how fast our runners just get through the rest of these checks. Soapbox is now picking up that uh, Earth Crystal and Luca Key from Sheila, so and we're still not, still no pan on Soapbox's end. So actually, no pan on Soapbox's end. So we only got the Earth Crystal.
Yeah, so I'm not... It looks like of the featured runners, John pretty much has this in the bag because Goku still needs to get the rat tail from here and turn it in. And I wonder... I'm not sure. This might come down to the wire of the featured runners between Goku and John. Ah, Firebird Lover in the chat remind me John doesn't have the hook yet either.
Yeah, so I think John's headed. Yep, John's headed to Cave Magnus now. That's going to be a little slower than this dwarf check, I think, especially if we can find something for Edge to throw at that CPU. You don't even get to see the reward for the rat tail when you do that. Oh yeah, we had the spoon. We still had the spoon from the top of the tower, so that'll do it.
The spoon being used for its intended use there. In the original game, you can't equip it onto Edward, no matter how your set game is set. Here we've kind of put it in there as... It was a joke at first, but now I think most people in the community genuinely love that addition. But in the original game, it is meant to be used as a super high powerful dart for Edge.
I love the little bit of irony here on Goku's screen, just as we threw the spoon. Oh, here's an Edward.
Oh, you hate to see it, really, you do. Rest in peace, Spoonward. And we can see here of the featured runners, Goku really, had some great plays, very good decisions on the pathing, great execution in the boss battles, and that's the reason why he's about to be the first of feature runners complete here, because there was never really any huge missteps on Goku's part during this race.
And Goku is also the only runner with that darkness crystal spot still not lit up, so committed to the hard ordeals fade, and I think it's going to pay off here.
We can see Goku not even wanting to transition out of the two screens to get out of Dwarf Castle, exits immediately.
Yeah. On this shorter flag set, your seconds are critical.
Oh, has not raised the hovercraft yet, so it's got to go to Castle Damsian first. Run, Goku, run!
Goes back to what I talked about for the different opening paths. One of my favorites is just loot Damsian for the numbers and the potential money, because you're there, you already got the hovercraft up, and then you get into this situation and you don't have to worry about it. It's a little less nerve-wracking to raise the hovercraft at 2 minutes than it is at 56 minutes.
Yeah, and I mean, you're going to have to raise it no matter what, so you may as well get it out of the way.
that will do it for Goku Black. GG.
Goku becoming the first of our featured runners tonight to complete the race. Actually in 6th place of the overall racers. We had 5 other finishers off screen. So GG's to Jabron TR, who won this race with a time of 51 minutes, 27 seconds. Let's see, who was next?
Yep, and John Burkhead has finished in 7th place. The time of looks like 56:45.
Yeah, John was very close behind pretty much the entire race behind Goku, despite doing a few extra checks. Very nice play here, able to keep up, despite literally going to more places.
Speaking of Goku, we seem to be joined by Goku Black in the booth for an interview. Goku, GG on this race.
Thank you. It was really, really, it was a really big of a doozy. It was a big chain. You had to do Baron into Sheila 1, into Earth Crystal, into Tower Key, into Pan, into Luca Cave. That was a big chain.
Now, Goku, the chat is rightly pointing out that your decision to fade ordeals probably won you this race out of the featured racers. John was right behind you, and all 3 of the other racers did ordeals.
Oh, wow, really? Yeah, it just was like, I felt, the only thing that felt bad about the race specifically is getting rid of my form of exit, but I'm just going, maybe they'll get an Earth Crystal soon for this Rosa?
Yeah, no, the ordering definitely seemed to pay off for you there. You were able to get the Earth Crystal, get exit on that Rosa before doing the Twin Harp. So that again, with that difference of 30 seconds, being able to have that exit was huge.
Yeah, and I felt like it's what won me this race, aside from not doing ordeals. I generally, if I don't have a Tella or a Cecil, I do not do ordeals.
How did it feel catching that? Well, maybe you didn't see it because you did your turn-in last, but the Pinktail turn-in was actually a crystal sword.
Oh, I never did it, yeah. A crystal sword, that would actually make me want to do, actually get Cecil, but I just didn't, Dark Knight Cecil being there. I'm like, no, I've got my final party. I've got Edge, I've got a healer, I've got, the best white mage in the game, and I've got the best black mage in the entire game. So I'm good.
Yeah, absolutely, and definitely good call to kind of stick with the party comp that you like, because yeah, you gained some precious seconds with your execution here on this run. Very well played.
Thank you. I've this is the first time coming back to this flag set, so definitely glad for my first the win on comms thing. Win on the restreamed race. Oh, it feels so good.
Fantastic. Well, I definitely hope to see you later on in this flag set, and I'll definitely be trying to run some of these in the future. So looking forward to racing with you more.
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you to the commentators and Restreamer for doing stuff behind the scenes, and for all the people, for the tracker pushing all the buttons. Definitely.
Thank you. Thank you for coming on and showing us this great gameplay.
No problem. I actually do love this flag set. This flag set's a fun flag set.
Yeah, absolutely. I was just mentioning, it's the first club set that I go to in a given week.
Yeah. I got a whole lot of other stuff I've got to work on these past few days. So, a lot to do. But I'm glad I was able to squeeze in for some time for this race.
see. Well, thank you, Goku Black, and GG's again, and have a wonderful rest of the week.
Yeah, see you later. GG's.
And while we're getting Burkhead into the booth, I did want to mention, you may have noticed in the interview, everyone talking about wanting to play these flags again. That's because this flag set is actually from one of our racing clubs, which is raced asynchronously, meaning you can race it when you want, anytime during the week. And it's open. You can join it if you want. So if you've liked this flag set and want to play it, you can play it. Just join up with the club. Go into the Discord and find it out.
Yeah, absolutely. We definitely have a good time in the A6. And with that, we have John Burkhead in the booth. John, GG's, only 30 seconds behind Goku, despite doing the ordeals. So that was a good run.
Thank you,
Pretty solid.
GG's. Apparently, free item was on, which I did not realize. So I guess all that time looking for a demist was probably not the most efficient use of my time. One of these days, I will learn how to read the flags.
I gotta tell you, I gave you the benefit of the doubt on that one. I was like, okay, you know, the Steel Cave boss can be a big deal in this flag set, especially if you got a party comp without an anchor. So I was like, okay, maybe you're just, maybe you're kind of getting the intel, and I wouldn't have thought that was a bad play at all. That seemed pretty solid to me.
No, can't read. That was the issue. You're very kind, though. I appreciate you.
Now, what did you think about that Tella start?
I loved it. When it's win game and not win crystal, Tella's great. Tella has a ton of utility, which is, part of the reason why I went up ordeals was, again, I can't read, so I'm like, three checks for demist, but also, Berserk and Blink and, Virus, and then when the cursed ring popped up in, because I figured Edge is naturally fast enough anyway, so if I don't find a cursed ring, he'll probably be close to RA1-ish, no matter what, and since it was K-main only, I read that part at least, I knew I wasn't going to have to deal with Fey March bosses or the Odin spot or anything up on the moon, so I figured, listen, he's got great utility. I can anchor him for, Sealed Cave was mandatory, and that's an agility of 66. So keep him as an anchor and his utility. I found the Palom, was like, let's go. I mean, these are great early game characters, and you don't have to worry about the late game. So once I had it, I was golden.
Awesome. Yeah. One of the things I watched about this race was, or noticed about watching this race, was just there was a lot of divergence almost the entire time. Was there a particular route that you were hoping to find as you went through this particular seed, or are you just kind of trying to play what it gives you?
I mean, when Val, I forgot where Val, I think Val was maybe on Ordeals or somewhere, or maybe Fabul, and I knew that wasn't going to go ahead and gate, the Magma Key was Force Magma, not Force Hook. So I knew that wasn't going to gate the underground access. Honestly, I felt okay with it. Tella has exit, again, more utility. So going down to Antline early is fine. Probably should have hard reset out of that because I think it was a Zonk. But honestly, I felt, pretty good. I faded Keyless Tower until I had the Tower Key. And I think that I probably could have faded Fabul in hindsight, but I think that Sheila 1 led to Earth Crystal, which led to Tower Key, which led to the Pan. There wasn't a whole lot to do other than maybe going to, Twin Harp a little bit earlier. But, I felt pretty good about it, honestly. My CPU fight was a little embarrassing. I had a mismenu, and then it was trying to go ahead and recover. But, I fast anchored the things I was supposed to fast anchor. I slow anchored the things I was supposed to slow anchor. I forgot how back rowing works for a hot second, because the back row glitch is off. But then I remember that if you have a weapon that does, in fact, back row, you can... It's not a glitch. You're literally doing what the item is intended to do. So that that took me a bit. I was like, wait a minute. I have a full. I can stay in the back. Oh, good. But no, it was a fun jetty little seed. And honestly, I was just lucky not to be punished by the free item, because if the hook had been there, I would have been behind by I don't know. I'd be on the moon looking for demist.
Yeah, that would have been problematic for sure. Yeah, I don't know. I think that's all I got. The back row thing was definitely interesting watching your Rubicante fight, because you replace the full moon with the ice ball, and your first hit was only 1100, but then the dice decided to save you and give you 6k on the follow up. So that was definitely the highlight of the race for me. What about for you? Any other fun particular moments that just kind of go, oh yeah, this is really cool?
I really liked that on the elements fight at the top of tower. For whatever reason, Ruby and I forget who else is programmed as a mage, so being able to go double mute knife for that fight, that was pretty fun.
Very cool. Well, thanks for joining us. You put on a good show, and you were so close the entire race, despite wildly diverging from Goku. So, thanks again for coming on.
Thank you. Thank you for me. I don't have the restream in front of me. Escrunt for doing the restreaming, for both of you doing commentary, and whatever poor souls doing tracking with these 4-person races. And if there's a lot of divergence, that's brutal. So thank you so much for making the lights go on and for having me on the race.
Cool. And meanwhile, Soapbox Gamer and CS Radical have both also finished. Soapbox Gamer with 1 hour 6 minutes 18 seconds, and Radical with 1 hour 7 minutes and 23 seconds. Quite close overall. We see there's really only an 11-minute spread between the featured runners, which is pretty stunning in a race like this, where a lot of checks were made. Pretty much almost every check we saw.
Yeah, absolutely. And with that, we have Soapbox Gamer in the booth. Soapbox, GG.
Thanks, guys. GG's. How you guys doing?
Oh, we're pretty good. We're watching some good free enterprise. I don't know, like some entertaining players were playing, and it was a good race.
I'm just glad everybody enjoyed it. That was kind of more the important thing for me.
Absolutely, that's the number one goal, right? We're all here to have fun. So yeah, I think I'm gonna ask you what I've started to ask most of the runners here. There was a lot of divergence between the 4 of you in this race. So any thoughts about the route you took? Some of the things you were thinking and how things played out for you.
I think 2 major things I was thinking about was I think I spent too much time shopping because I wanted to look for something to dart, and really shouldn't have checked top of tower, but in the last tournament that kind of burned me, so I was like, let me go look. And then I walk around, I'm like, why am I holding this spoon? There's no point. Reset.
Oh yeah, the spoon can gain you a lot of seconds in these flags, especially because you can just throw it at the sealed cave boss, or throw it at a CPU that happens to be hanging out in a bad spot.
Yeah, that's true, but I already saw most of those before. I already beat CPU at Dwarf Castle before I went up tower, and I'm like, do I really need this? Or do I really need an extra 2 minutes? And then when I saw how I finished, I was like, I really needed the time back. So I was like, I'll go without it. And then, obviously, I found enough Bacchus to roll through it, and once Quack Hit was online, I could probably muddle through most of that there.
What do you consider to be the most difficult part of this flag set?
Being that was the first time running it, that was probably the most difficult part about it. But for me, the largest one was all the characters offered. It's like, what can I do to get something quickly so I can start dealing damage? And it's, there was a Cecil that came up, there was an Eddie that came up, of course, way before I knew there was a spoon. And I think the biggest thing is exactly who you decide to take with you. And yeah, I decided on the Tello because I was like, look, it's more, he'll have everything immediately if I go for deals. If I take a Rosa, I'm going to be waiting too long. I know I had a Siren in my pocket, but at that point it was already a half hour, and I'm like, if I pivot now, I'm going to lose more time just trying to get it back up to speed. So I think characters were probably character decisions were the most difficult part.
Good. And were you one of, I'm forgetting now, were you one of the ones who turned in the Pinktail?
I had them both on me. I just dumped them. I was like, maybe it'll get something. I'll dart anyway. Because I was like, well, let me make sure I don't come back. But I was like, I was here. I might as well just get rid of it.
Yeah, if only we'd seen that crystal sword a little earlier in the match, especially since 3 out of the 4 of you did ordeal, so had access to that Paladin Cecil.
Yeah. I was sitting there and I was like, somebody's trolling me already. I'm like, really? You gotta give me a crystal sword now? I'm like, no thanks, man.
Very cool. Well, do you have any final thoughts about this race before we bring in Radical?
Oh, well, GG's to everybody on stream, and obviously, thanks to all of you for obviously putting on a wonderful show as usual. And, I mean, other than that, I was just glad I didn't trip over and totally embarrass myself. I figured this thing was going to be an hour and under if I was going to even try to make top 10, and yeah, it didn't work out that way, but, you know, I'm okay with finishing under like an hour 10. I figured that was probably going to be where I was going to be at.
Yeah, and it's a pretty short spread. I mean, there's only about 12 minutes between first place and your position, so not too bad at all.
I live with that. I mean, it's a much smaller margin than what I've been doing on ladders, so I'm very happy about it.
Cool. Well, thank you again for coming on to the stream, and we'll see you next race.
Sure, no problem. GG's to everybody. GG's to everybody. I got to go through time to see where everybody finished, but great work as always, and I will see all of you very soon.
Thanks, Box. Thanks for putting on a good show.
And we're now joined here by CS Radical. How you doing, Radical?
I'm doing fantastic. I have never been so comfortable and calm and yet seething on the inside. I'm assuming S-Grunt rolled this. Bravo in that masterclass of a seed that just did everything that I did not want it to do.
So tell us about what was the first thing that threw you for a loop.
I knew I was in for something as soon as Ordeals popped up, nothing still. I went, okay, I got cheeky and did Vow early thinking I was going to get something instead of Magna Key, because I knew it was not going to be there. That didn't work. I'm like, alright, so it must be Ordeals. At the very least, I'll get Tellus and spells too. Nope, wasn't that either. I'm thinking, okay, this is going to be a long one for me. I can already feel it, and I could not have been more right.
How'd you feel about the characters that were on offer?
I mean, at the very beginning, it was perfect. Edge and Tella is a fantastic, duo to start. You got your early exit spell. After that, I didn't even look at who was on Hobbs because it wasn't worth the time. Seeing Palom in the Sand Ruby spot, I knew I had my black magic for the rest of the game, so that was fine. And it was just a matter of figuring out what I wanted to do in terms of a healer or an extra damage point. And as soon as I got the Rosa and already had an Artie bow with the Heroine robe as well, I went, well, there's my answer. I've got some heals if I need it. I think I even had a life staff in case I needed to switch over, but at that point I had everything I needed, and even with the Cecil, regardless of whether or not I had a crystal sword later, thanks Pinktail, I was pretty happy the rest of the way.
Yes, we thought that the crystal sword there at the end was fairly cheeky as well.
I mean, also that Bahamut summon at the forge was just like the cherry on top there, of just absolutely useless drops when I needed them most.
Yeah, definitely. It's definitely tough to find the right drops. So finally get the Magna Key behind the Noah Baron Key. So what do you want to do when you get underground at that point?
Well, the freebie was the first thing, and then it was really a matter of if that gave me direction, that was the plan. Otherwise, I was probably going to head to Dwarf, because usually that gives me a chance to get some extra shop checks, get some extra loot, try to find something to go with it. Also pretty decent experience spots, so I figured that was my best option. I'm glad that I didn't check top of tower early, although I'm very mad that I thought about Sheila 1 and then skipped it in favor of just doing Harp, because I figured now it'll probably be something up top first. Turns out I could have just done that. That would have saved me a little bit of extra time, but hey, that's been the entire seed, so it's not that surprising.
Yeah, I mean, you played excellently. You didn't really have any major missteps. You just solely got rolled by the seed.
Oh, absolutely. Like I said, I've never been so comfortable and yet seething. Like that was probably one of the easier seeds I've played in quite some time, and just was happenstance that I kept guessing the exact wrong location every time. But that's rando gonna rando sometimes, you know?
Yeah, we didn't really see any of the really tricky bosses. Maybe if the Rubicon had been differently placed, but otherwise, you all did very well with the boss battles.
Yeah, no real complaints. I mean, I think the only thing is just my usual memory of to not cast magic on Pale Dim and just, take a couple extra seconds out of there, but otherwise. I mean, everything in worked out well. Even the cheeky early Val, I had the Ninja Star that was able to just make that effortless. So, really, I mean, aside from all the key item drops there, Escaron, you at least made the bosses fair. So I guess that's a nice offset.
Yeah, that had to feel pretty nice going to that top of the tower and seeing Golbez get sent back to the hook route that we're never ever going to touch.
I completely even forgot about that, so that tells you where my mind was at that point.
Well, thanks for appearing again and allowing us to stream you to show this great race. Do you have any other final thoughts about the seed?
It seems very fitting that I get restreamed for the first time in a while, and it's a seed that is only blue planet based, no moon, no K summon, and I still managed to 17 out of 17 it. Go figure.
It wasn't too off of everyone else, but thank you again for joining us.
Yeah, thanks a lot. The rest of you enjoy the rest of your night.
And thank you to the viewers for joining us as well, but there is more free enterprise on the horizon. Later this week, we do have other restreams. We've got the Evelyn Spelunking tomorrow at 9 o'clock Eastern, Music Appreciation Wednesday at 8 o'clock Eastern, the Friday night community race, which is at 10 o'clock Eastern, and the Hero's Journey on Saturday at 3 o'clock Eastern.
Yeah, definitely a lot of fun stuff on tap this week. Tomorrow's Evelyn's Spelunking. If you like these abbreviated flag sets, that's another one. That one's highlighting our Falcon Percent flag set, which that's a forced hook route, but you win the game when you launch the Falcon. So that'll be a fun one to watch. And then we're running this back Friday night, so excited for that one too. And yeah, Music Appreciation, Hero's Journey. Club season is awesome.
Yeah, there's a lot of variation for whatever you like to watch. And that being said, we're going to get some more free enterprise tonight as well. And it looks like we're going to be raiding Xenocat, who is playing an async for Tricker's Trial. So if you are playing that, I would leave the stream now so that you don't get spoiled.
Yep, and then speaking of spoilers, be sure you do not spoil the results of this race in case folks want to watch the VOD. But with that said, we'll kick you over to Xenocat shortly. Thanks for watching. Warmaster Modos, it was great commentating with you. Thanks Escrunt for the restream, and David B for pushing the buttons. You did a fantastic job with everything going on tonight.
Agreed. Thanks for showing up, everyone. I appreciated it. It was good to be back.